Are you looking to engage your donors more effectively and create deeper relationships with them? Well, you're in luck. This episode is sponsored by my friends at Instill, that's Instil, a holistic donor relationship management platform on a mission to revolutionize nonprofit technology. Together, we're hosting a free webinar to show you how to manage donor communications in the digital age using technology and social media. Our goal is to build long-term donor loyalty in a short-term world. Learn more at jcsocialmarketing.com/instill. That's jcsocialmarketing.com/INSTIL. See you then. Hello, and welcome to Nonprofit Nation. I'm your host, Julia Campbell, and I'm going to sit down with nonprofit industry experts, fundraisers, marketers, and everyone in between to get real and discuss what it takes to build that movement that you've been dreaming of. I created the Nonprofit Nation podcast to share practical wisdom and strategies to help you confidently find your voice, definitively grow your audience, and effectively build your movement. If you're a nonprofit newbie or an experienced professional who's looking to get more visibility, reach more people, and create even more impact, then you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Nonprofit Nation. I'm your host, Julia Campbell. And today we're going to talk about marketing, but take a little bit of a different tack on what is marketing and how can nonprofits do marketing effectively. We're going to talk about inclusive marketing. So inclusive marketing is on the rise, and especially in the current climate that we're living in, the success of an external marketing campaign does depend on the success of developing internal teams. And as we know, marketing campaigns and DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion communications have to touch multiple points while remaining inclusive to all audiences. So if your marketing team has been working hard to improve your DEI efforts, but things aren't happening as quickly as you'd like, then this episode's for you. So my guest is inclusive marketing consultant, author, and nonprofit founder, Michelle Ngome. She's the founder of Line 25 Consulting, an agency specializing in inclusive marketing strategies for organizations. She's also the author of Network, Navigate, and Nurture, The Equation to Strategic Networking, which is a practical guide to networking success. And Michelle's dedicated to creating and sharing opportunities with others. And in 2019, she founded the African American Marketing Association, a 501c3 nonprofit, creating a platform that empowers Black marketers all over the United States. And she also has a podcast, which is so fantastic, Networking with Michelle and Marketing for the Culture. She's been featured on Forbes, PR News, Entrepreneur, Wall Street Journal, and she gives a lot of insight and ideas and opinions on how to really increase inclusivity and diversity in marketing. So, Michelle, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Absolute pleasure. I've been looking forward to this for some time.
Oh, great. Me too. So tell us a bit about where you got started and how you got into the work that you're doing today.
I have to definitely give credit to my parents. So my parents are from Cameroon, West Africa. So I think with that understanding, growing up, you just realize you're different. Like my Blackness is a little bit different. There's a different culture to it. But I think with that, it allowed me to have more empathy and understanding growing up, interacting with different people. But if I go back to my professional background, I have the regular traditional marketing experience for the past 10, 15 years, all of the digital marketing stuff. But in 2018, I noticed things were a little bit different. There was just a lot of negative campaigns. And it's really tricky because you'll see, in this case, Black people in these pictures and these ads, but I'm like, we're not represented properly. Like, we don't look good. We're being laughed at, silently laughed at. It's like you got to pick up on the social cues. And I was like, who's approving these messages? Like, how is this getting on TV and social media, and, stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that? And then that's when I kind of went into the research and the rabbit hole of diversity marketing, which was a relatively, and I'm going to use diversity marketing and inclusive marketing interchangeably, but both of those were relatively very, very, very fresh terms. Like we've heard multicultural marketing and, all of these other things. So kind of, it's like, hey, there's something here. I think that's the thing about marketing too. And I have a degree in finance and marketing, and everyone's like, those are big things. And I'm like, well, the foundation of those things, historical trends,
Mm-hmm.
history always repeats itself, and then identifying the gaps. And as an entrepreneur or a leader, that's where you find opportunities. It's like, how can we identify the gaps?
Mm-hmm.
And once you do that, what are the solutions that you're going to provide?
So you're an inclusive marketing consultant. For those that don't know or maybe want a little more clarification, how do you define inclusive marketing?
Yeah. So lots of times when we think about diversity or inclusion, we think about the HR, right? So diversity is all about a group of people from different backgrounds, be it race, ethnicity, culture, religion, sexual identification, etc., right? Economic, social and economic status. So we know that as a group of people in any environment, your zip code, the college you went to, etc. Now, inclusive marketing is just making sure that representation of these various groups are involved in your marketing campaign, be it TV, social media, whatever the case may be. And my take on this is in order for you to be inclusive, you have to have an inclusive marketing team to create an inclusive marketing campaign.
How do we create this internal team? And what if we're just a staff of one? What if there's just one marketing person? How can we best do this?
Yeah, I've been there too, right? So you want to be mindful. Even when you're a staff of one, we're always trying to be strategic, right? So you want to be mindful. So depending on what you're doing, hopefully you can have a contractor or whatever the case may be. But the first thing in your conversation is, hey, I want us to be inclusive on whatever our plan is, right? And it can be overwhelming because we're like, man, we don't have the budget that Nike has, Chase, all of these big companies.
Charity Water, even. Yeah.
Right?
The Red Cross.
Yeah. So it's like, I'm not going to do anything. And trust me, I get it. The life of a solopreneur with the vision. But that's why I created the framework, right? And I'm going to skip over some things. But I think when you're a small business owner or a team of one, if you can find touch points within your community, you're in community engagement, that's important, right? So if you can serve on a board, if you can be a mentor, big brother, big sister, you're a professional, so you're probably already doing trainings and workshops. Are you able to go to some community organization, a community service, and offer your expertise for free, 1-2 hours a week, 5 hours a month? There's all these little things that have diversity embedded in it. We just have to stretch ourselves and give back in that way.
I totally agree. So you do have a great 5-point framework to inclusive marketing. And I wonder if you could just walk us through a little bit of the high level concepts, and people can find that on your website. But I love a good framework. People know that. I also love a good framework with alliteration where everything starts with the same letter. And I love it. So yeah, walk us through sort of a high level overview of these 5 points. I think they're all really integral and critical to, sort of creating this culture.
The marketer in me is winning with you, so that's a plus. So the 5-point framework for inclusive marketing, we start with your content and your communications. So a lot of us are already creating content. This podcast is content. And in this particular case, your content is what's going out to your ideal client or your clients, your consumers, right? Because you want them to buy your products and services. Your communications is really your internal communications with your team, your stakeholders, shareholders, your board members, your staff. And I saw there was some tension and discrepancy in 2020 when George Floyd
Mm-hmm.
passed away. You had a lot of people, marketing teams, whatever companies, where they didn't have a Black person on their marketing team. And what they were doing, they were going to employees outside of marketing to be like, hey, can you read this statement? Does this sound good? Like, hey, you're a Black person.
Speak for
George
all
Floyd.
Black people,
Yeah,
please.
and it's like a lot of Black people were very emotional during that time, rightfully so, but they don't necessarily have the communication, the marketing, the storytelling lens to be like, okay, hey, this is a good statement. This is a
Mm-hmm.
good statement that needs to go on our website, share it on social. So we have to be very mindful of how we're communicating to everyone and not just our consumers, buy, and keeping it transactional. You still have relationships with all of these people that's holding your organization accountable.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is candidates, right? So I think there has been an increase in recruitment marketing. This is a time where we can no longer just post a job on our website or
Mm-hmm.
Indeed and just have people flood in, right? And even if that happens, they're still going to research you. Most people are going to research you after they get the initial interest call from you, email or whatever. So what does your recruitment marketing efforts look like? And all of this is going to make sense
Mm-hmm.
because that's tied into your company culture,
Mm-hmm.
your employee engagement. So is that shown on the website? Is that shown on social media? It's like, yeah, I need a job, but is this a cool place to work work
Mm-hmm.
at?
And especially younger generations, they're really thinking about that. Is this a good fit for my values, my
Yeah.
ethics, and what I believe in?
And it's like, what do y'all do? Once again, are your leaders in the company? Are they going out and sharing knowledge and sharing their expertise?
Mm-hmm.
And then next we have our consumers, clients, whether B2B, B2C. And a lot of us were already doing that. Like that's the thing with marketing. There's so much emphasis on it. We're already doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But what can we do and how can we do things differently? And I think when we have to get to the point where we stop creating all of these new products and services because there's so many groups of people that haven't learned about your current or your old products and services.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely think inclusive marketing is like the new growth marketing strategy. And I'm going to get to
Mm-hmm.
an example pretty soon.
Okay.
And then the fifth one is the community engagement. It's what I kind of referred to earlier. Especially if you're a small team, a small company, how can you get involved in the community? And you're probably thinking, well, I'm already nonprofit. I already am community. I need
Mm-hmm.
help. And that's fine too, right? But there's relationships, there's partnerships that you can create, there's people that you can invite. So now that you're hearing this message as a community leader, as a community organizer, maybe there's a for profit company that you've had your eye on. And instead of asking them directly for money, because don't money's important, we need to survive. But maybe you can start that relationship with like, hey, we're looking for XYZ to kind of come in and train our staff or do a training for our whole audience.
Mm-hmm.
Or we have this
Mm-hmm.
board spot coming up. Like sometimes we sit back and wait for people to come to us when we kind of need to initiate some of these relationships, especially if we know it's a big fish.
Those are really great. So the five are content and communications. Second is candidates.
Candidates,
Third is
company culture.
culture. Four is consumers. And five is community.
Correct.
And what I love about it and what I love about a framework is that everything exists as an ecosystem. I think marketers tend to focus on content or they focus on maybe
Mm-hmm.
culture or maybe they focus on community, but they don't equally focus on all of these different points. And if one leg of the table is wobbling, the whole table is going to come down. Is that your experience?
It is. And at the same time, I try to look at it the other way around, the glass half full. I think if you're doing these things right, it's producing the content for you.
True.
It's increasing your visibility to be like, hey, I see this company all over town. Let me see what they have going on because I want to put an application. And then that engagement is it's dropping your retention rate, right? Because are so involved. It's kind of like a bank account, right? If you ever notice, if you open a bank account, they want to do everything, right? It's like, oh, you're like, I just need checking and savings. No, we need your
Right.
direct deposit. We need your Netflix subscription on your debit card.
Mhm.
We need to finance your home and your car, because when you have all of these things tied to this bank account, it's going to be hard to leave. Like, because it's so much work.
Mhm. True. Oh my gosh. I know. Like, if you want to break up with any kind of financial institution, or think about like your phone company, your internet company, if you want to change phones, all the apps, all the everything. Exactly. It just
So,
makes it really, really integral to your daily life. So it's very difficult to leave.
yeah. So think about if you have your company so engaged, it's going to have people hard to leave, right? Because and some of those things, like, once again, we all need money to survive, and we need a certain income and to manage our household. But then there's those intangibles. It's like, well, my boss trusts me. Like, I can have a 2-hour lunch once a month because I'm meeting with so and so. And those are things that you can't put a price on. And you don't understand the value until you're no longer with the company, those little intangibles. But I do think it's a machine, an ecosystem where everything can work together for your benefit, whether you're hiring, recruiting, promoting people, creating the content you need for social media, increasing your thought leadership, visibility for the CEO and other leaders. If you do it right, the organization can really thrive.
Now, my audience, they are usually marketing and fundraising professionals working in the space. And one of the questions I get all the time is, well, I have 10 different audiences I need to reach. I have clients, donors, general public, volunteers, staff, thought leaders. I have to reach out to reporters. How can we use inclusive marketing strategies maybe to reach all of these different audiences? Do we need different strategies, or is there one overarching kind of theme here?
It can be a combination of both. It really depends on the season that you're in. If there's a certain campaign, you probably have 1 or 2 signature events a year. So that is a variable. But at the same time, the biggest thing is your messaging, right? So maybe you have to critique some of your messaging depending on the audience. And that could be 1 or 2 words. It could be, hey, we're looking to raise 50,000 at this luncheon, right? That's what's going to go to your donors, da 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 da. But your volunteers, hey, come support us, with this luncheon. Media, hey, we're looking to raise 50,000. Your news coverage can help amplify that message to the city. So there's little things that do have to be tweaked. My good friend Henry Adasso, he actually just wrote a book called The Art of Messaging, and I had a chance to interview him on my podcast last week.
I'll listen.
And
I'll put that in the show notes for everyone. I will. I'm writing it down.
Yeah, The Art of Messaging. And he's an amazing talent when it comes to writing and content. And one thing I learned from him is he called it a messaging menu. And what that is you want to have those scripts that your marketing team is going to come up with, and they know exactly what to say about the organization, right? So everyone on the board and the team, when they go out, they should be able to say the same mission statement. Not like, oh, well, we galvanize Black marketers, that. Like, it should be on cue, right? Same thing when it comes to social media, and that messaging just amplifies depending on your audience as well as where it will be delivered. It's very insightful. And everyone needs to say the same thing.
Yep.
And I know I've been guilty of this, but it's like, well, everything's on the website. Like,
just go to the website. It's like, no. People need to be enticed to go to the website.
Let's create an organized template, right? And if we know, okay, we're going to focus on the signature program that's coming up in the fall, this is the verbiage, right? Or at least this is the foundational verbiage, right? And, go forth. And I think that's important when it comes to reaching, or when you do have multiple audiences.
I'm definitely going to get that book and listen to that podcast interview and put it in the show notes, because I think you're absolutely right. We can't expect our staff members, board members, volunteers to be marketing people, and understand what is the marketing message we're trying to convey and pull out that information from everything on the website or everything in the appeals. And I think too often we have the curse of knowledge and we just assume people think like us and are able to, tie these threads together. So I think having a messaging menu is a fantastic idea. To switch gears here, because I do have a lot of founders or people that are interested in founding organizations. So you founded the African American Marketing Association in 2019, which is a professional membership organization for Black marketers to help with their career or entrepreneur journey. And it's a nonprofit. So what was it like founding it, and how did you get started? What advice would you give to other people that have that kind of passion and want to fill that gap in their community?
The vision came in 2013. I remember clear as day, December 2013. And it's like an angel whispered in my ear. And I was like, nope. I was like, I am too young. I am too green. At that time, I had just finished my master's degree, had just left corporate America. So I'm starting my business. I already have a lot on my plate. And as you move on in life, you're always going to have a lot on your plate, right? But I remember every year, twice a year, if not more, I would Google Black marketers, African American marketers, associations, and nothing would pop up. And then going back to what I said earlier, just a lot of bad ads were coming out 2017, 2018, and the curiosity got me. And then I worked at a company, but I was the only marketing person. And I was doing a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm like, am I the only one feeling like this? So it's like, where are these conversations being had? I feel like I need to talk to other people about my career experience. And even in leadership, though, because sometimes you think you're crazy. Like you're on this island and you're like, am I the only one like this? And I guess that's why they say leadership is lonely at the top. And you're just like, who else can I talk to? And I want to talk, but I don't want to embarrass myself. And it's the wild, wild west out here sometimes mentally. But those were some of the reasons on why I started the association and created to galvanize Black marketers in order for them to have the resources and opportunities so they can grow professionally as well as their business. I think that's the tough thing about marketing. Marketing has expanded drastically over the past 5, 10, 15 years. And it's merged with all of these other things, communications, technology, sales, creative design. So it's hard to serve people because there's so many audiences, and now you have content creators. It's like, I'm not a marketer. And I'm like, come over here. Yes, like, let me tell you why you are. But we have made great strides. We have over 600 members nationwide. It's been definitely challenging. When we turned 1, that's when COVID happened. So definitely had to regroup and restructure as a toddler. And we still are a baby, right? But I'm proud of our efforts. We have the Marketing for the Culture podcast. I created that as a former podcaster at the time. I'm like, what is our competitive advantage, right? What can we do that's going to be different compared to some of the other marketing associations? And I was like, I have podcasting skills. So starting the podcasting actually increased our visibility, helped with funding, helped with, donations, because now we can read sponsorships. Once again, we look different. It's one of those things where people always want to see where their money's going, right? So that's the thing. That's why you need to have signature programs. Yeah. It's like, okay, you want to raise $50,000, $1 million, but what's the big bang for me to give you the $100 or whatever the case may be? So we have that. We have the annual Black Marketers list where we highlight at least 50 Black marketers in agency, creative, content, influencer marketing. And then this year we added the community champion for our nonprofits and activists, right? So we've been doing that for the past 3 years. That was inspired by Adweek's Power 100 list.
Yes.
Because I felt like they had a lack of diversity in 2018. It was 100 people, but I think there was only like 10 women, and then either one Black person. It was, and I was like, I really know these people, but I was like, how come this person's not on there? Just
it just is the biggest eye roll, head shake. I don't know. I didn't read it. I haven't read it in the past year because of that, because it's just the same.
I don't think they do it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think they do. But
well, when are nominations due? I'd love to get the word out about nominations.
No, so nominations are the first quarter, January through March. So we're actually going to release it pretty soon, actually, hopefully next week. But I'll definitely keep you informed. Now that we're connected on LinkedIn, I'll keep you updated. But it's been, I say this every year, that's just a fraction of the talent, right? With anything. Yeah. So impressive, but I know it's a fraction of the talent. And then we have the Marketing for the Culture Summit. We did it last year, so this is our second year coming up on June 1st. We have HP sponsoring us, which is like, that's huge, right? But that's amazing. I think, it goes back to those things where, where's your money going? What are you doing? Members want to see that. Donors want to see that. Media, the community wants to see that in order for them to get involved in any capacity. Like even for our event on the volunteer form, I'm like, why do you want to volunteer? Because this is more than just getting a free ticket. Why do you want to be here? Because your why is going to tell me how you're going to treat the attendees.
Exactly.
So I'm proud of those things. The best advice I could have, I'm still learning. I just went through a nonprofit leadership program not too long ago. I do not have all the answers, but this has been my soapbox this past couple of months is when you're a leader or entrepreneur, you have to have a certain amount of delusional crazy. Like you really have to believe in yourself, because I think when people see you're like, she's really going to go through with this, people will get behind you. Like if you're on the up and up, character, financials, all that stuff, people will get behind you. And the tricky thing is sometimes you just have to wait it out, know? And last year, this is a prime example of getting 99 no's. Last year, we started looking for a venue. It's like, can't afford. And then there was something I could afford, put my money down.
And you're in Houston? Are you looking in Houston?
Yes. Okay. This event will be Houston. So we're just going to move forward. Put the money down, been asking for sponsorship since last year, July. The conference was in May. So as soon as we got that recap video, the numbers, started looking for sponsors. No. And then February, I went to AMA, American Marketing Association. In Houston. I went to their conference and introduced myself to an executive at HP. And before I can finish, she was like, we're in. And they came in as the title sponsor, and just needed that one yes. And now we're having a conference. I was like, look, y'all are going to get a hot meal today, so.
Well, you wrote the book on strategic networking. So you did write a book. And that's actually something I definitely need to have you back on to talk about networking, because that's a huge pain point for a lot of people. But that's fantastic advice. Just take those 99 no's and then there'll be one yes that will be transformative.
And since you brought up the networking piece, let me add this. It wasn't that I just introduced myself because it's HP. There was things in her keynote presentation that tied to the mission of my organization.
Yes.
Right? So the things that HP is working on and that's important to them, I'm like, oh, that's us. That's my organization. So it made it real easy for me to do my intro, my elevator pitch, because now I'm hey, you remember that keynote you just did 15 minutes ago?
That's so smart. Well, because it shows you're listening, and then it shows that you are actively looking for synergies, for lack of a better word, in both of your missions rather than just saying, hey, you're HP of a ton of money.
Right.
You know,
And
I think it's so smart.
even though I've had relationships and I was being kind of picky with, who I was asking money for, some of it was in person, some of it was in email. Right. Well, let me say in person as far as, hey, I know you, but this is, I'm sending you this email right now. But this was in person. This was fresh. Those opportunities are kind of few and far between.
I love that. I really do love that. I want to bring it back to the inclusive marketing theme. Also, the fact that it seems like you just constantly create content. You've got guides, you have 2 podcasts, you have a book, and you also have a card game. So I love this. You created a DEI card game called Be Inclusive. It's beinclusivethecardgame.com. And you call it a diversity facilitation deck to help improve communication and engagement by building trust, empathy, and people skills. So tell me about how you developed this game, like who's it for and how can we use it?
I developed the game because I was doing the work, right? I do think work inspires work or work inspires content. And, working with a handful of clients, a lot of the same questions, which is fine. But then I was like, can I create some type of quiz? I was thinking a 10 to 20 question quiz as a lead magnet on my website. So I sent it to my assistant and he came back with over 100 questions. And then that's when the light bulb went off. I was like, there's something here, and then critique, edit, and now we have the cards. So the cards are really for middle managers, leaders, and the beauty is in small teams, right? I say teams of 5 to 20 people. That's the sweet spot because it allows for the communication, allows for you to read a card or two and kind of discuss. So we have the DEI deck and we have the company culture deck, and there's 50 questions in each deck, but it's not meant to get through one setting, right? It's meant to maybe you just have one card to serve as an icebreaker before a team meeting. Okay, well, what are we going to talk about this meeting, this brainstorming strategy session? Find a card that's relevant to that topic. Maybe it's depending on the type of networking event or type of event you want to hold, or maybe it's an actual training, a facilitated conversation training that a leader can lead, or you can bring a professional in or someone like me. I'm like, okay, this is the question. What's your feeling or your experience behind this question? And I created this thing, but every time I get in front of a group of people, I learn something different. It's really the gift that keeps on giving. It's truly amazing. And, it's the little things like you think you know men. But to see the difference of how men and women think on some of the job questions or just in just life, the biggest thing is, I was like, look, we're all tired of PowerPoints at this time,
Yeah. As I prepare to give a 2-hour virtual workshop with 100 slides, but I totally agree.
Yeah, like we're all tired of all the things you shouldn't do because you need to be inclusive, right? And yeah, there's some truth to that. Everyone has their own approach, but whether you're black, white, or gray, purple, and red in between, everyone has experience. What's your experience? Like, there's a reason why you think and do things the way you do. And these cards allow you to share your experience. And you're not going to get that in a PowerPoint presentation when someone's in front of the room. I do believe, I get a lot of BS for this, but I do believe anyone can do the work of diversity, but you have to have an empathetic heart. And lots of times we don't know how people are diverse. We're like, oh, well, he's a white man. And it's like, okay, but maybe he grew up with a brother that had Down syndrome.
Right. Maybe he himself is like neurodivergent. Maybe he has autism. Maybe, you're so right. You can't just see diversity just by looking at someone.
It goes beyond race. Don't get me wrong, race, culture, some of those things are visible or not. Those things are important, especially with the history here in America. But you just don't know what people have experienced, what they're going through, what's important to them. And I do think these cards allows you to have those conversations.
Mm-hmm. And at the heart of all of this is empathy, building trust, empathy, and people skills. That's really the only way that we're going to ever really accomplish diversity, equity, and inclusion at our organizations. But just so fantastic, because a card game, to me, it sounds less threatening than having a consultant come in and having us fill out a quiz, or like you said, looking at a PowerPoint or watching a video. Like, we're actually sharing, and some people like to share, some people don't, but I think it's helpful when you can hear the lived experiences of the people that you work with and that you care about and learn from them rather than just kind of learning from a complete stranger in a PowerPoint.
Yeah.
I think that's really valuable. So we could talk for hours. We're at time, but I want to make sure that I highlight your free DEI guide on your website. It's called The 6 Methods for Your Organization to Become Inclusive. Could you just give us maybe a snapshot of one of those methods and tease it out a little bit, and then we'll direct people to the website to get their copy?
I'll say 2 things. One, inclusive language. Be very, very mindful of how you're communicating, especially when it comes to your content, because one-on-one, we're able to pick up on tone and company culture, but when it goes out into the world, other people are not going to be able to relay that. So be mindful of your language. And then the second thing is holistic leadership. We get so ingrained on the executing the vision, but understand what motivates people, understand what support and mentorship looks like. And those are things that I think really enhances company culture, really helps with overall collaboration, productivity, going back to tenets of DEI.
Fantastic. And where can people find you and connect with you, learn more about you?
Yeah, the best thing is my website, Line 25 Consulting, and please connect with me on LinkedIn. Say you listen to this podcast, Michelle Ngome. I love doing all of my professional stuff on LinkedIn. So yeah.
Yeah, me too. Thank you, Michelle. This was fantastic. And I promise my listeners, I'll have you back on to talk about strategic networking and getting sponsors, because that's another huge topic that I know people want to learn about. But this was so wonderful. Thanks for taking the time, and thanks for being so generous with your expertise.
I love it. Thank you.
Well, hey there. I wanted to say thank you for tuning into my show and for listening all the way to the end. If you really enjoyed today's conversation, make sure to subscribe to the show in your favorite podcast app, and you'll get new episodes downloaded as soon as they come out. I would love if you left me a rating or a review, because this tells other people that my podcast is worth listening to. And then me and my guests can reach even more earbuds and create even more impact. So that's pretty much it. I'll be back soon with a brand new episode. But until then, you can find me on Instagram at Julia Campbell 77. Keep changing the world, you nonprofit unicorn.